Something extraordinary is quietly unfolding above the production floors of Toronto and Montreal, and almost no one outside the Alliance's procurement offices is talking about it. Washington assumed it. Brussels assumed it. Every defense analyst who spent the last 3 decades mapping Western air power assumed it. The assumption was elegant in its simplicity. If a NATO country needed airborne surveillance, it bought American. It had always been American. The Boeing E-3, the carrier-based E-2 Hawkeye, 70 years of uncontested monopoly, 70 years of Washington holding the keys to the skies over the entire Western Alliance. They were all utterly incorrect. Picture a production floor in Toronto. Not a headline, not a press conference, just thousands of skilled hands, engineers, avionics technicians, machinists, software specialists, systems integrators, arriving each morning to assemble something that is quietly rewriting the architecture of NATO air defense. The aircraft they are building is called Global Eye, and its existence changes who controls the skies. More importantly, it changes who controls the decisions behind them. This is not a prototype. This is not a concept seeking venture capital. This is a fully operational airborne early warning and control system, already flying with customers, already demonstrating real-world capability in operational theaters. The world simply hasn't been paying attention. Dear viewers, let us change that.
Rewind 30 years and the picture is stark. NATO's airborne surveillance picture was essentially an American picture. The Boeing E-3, built on a 707 airframe designed in the 1950s, became the backbone of Western Air Command for more than half a century. If you were a NATO country and you wanted that capability, the flying radar command post, the force multiplier that extends every fighter pilot's detection horizon, the purchase flowed through Washington. American export approvals, American components, American political leverage embedded directly into your defense architecture. There were no comparable European alternatives, not in range, not in integration, not in proven operational history. Airborne surveillance was one of the last uncontested monopolies in Western defense procurement. Read that again, one of the last uncontested monopolies. And then Canada's aerospace sector quietly began dismantling it. The platform at the center of this transformation is built on the Bombardier Global Express business jet, a long-range aircraft that has been ferrying executives and government leaders across continents for decades. The airframe is Canadian. The mission systems come from Saab of Sweden. The radar technology flows from European suppliers. Swiss and other European components are integrated throughout. The aircraft does not rely on a single American part. In today's political climate, that detail does not merely carry weight, it carries strategic gravity. The radar at the heart of Global Eye offers a detection range of roughly 350 nautical miles. It simultaneously tracks air, surface, and ground targets. It operates effectively over land and sea. It can track hundreds of objects at once, feed targeting data to fighter aircraft, coordinate air defense networks, and manage complex air operations across NATO's extraordinarily diverse geography. Translation: a pilot can only engage what they can detect. Global Eye extends that detection horizon far beyond what any onboard fighter radar can provide. It multiplies the effectiveness of every aircraft in the sky. It is not a surveillance tool, it is a force multiplier at strategic scale. The credibility of this system does not rest on marketing slides, it rests on operational use. Sweden took delivery of 6 Global Eye aircraft between 2018 and 2022. The United Arab Emirates signed contracts in 2015, began receiving aircraft in 2017, and those jets are now fully operational in the Middle East. NATO countries evaluating Global Eye are not looking at a promise, they are looking at an aircraft that has already performed under real-world conditions. This is not aspiration, this is architecture. Inside Toronto's aerospace corridor, roughly 2,000 workers are tied directly to defense production, including the assembly and integration of Global Eye. But aerospace carries a powerful multiplier effect. For every direct position, 2 or 3 additional roles emerge across suppliers, logistics providers, machine shops, and engineering consultancies. When those ripple effects are calculated, Global Eye production supports between 6,000 and 8,000 jobs across Ontario's broader economy. Families supported, tax revenue generated, advanced manufacturing capability retained inside Canada rather than exported to foreign production lines. And here is where the layers of this masterstroke begin to reveal themselves fully. First layer, Canada is simultaneously producing Saab Gripen fighter aircraft in Montreal through a separate but deeply connected partnership. Consider what that means. A NATO country seeking both a modern fighter fleet and an airborne early warning system can now acquire both without a single American export approval, without a single American component, without accepting the political leverage that has historically accompanied every Washington-routed defense transaction. Poland, Germany, and Spain are all examining modernization plans that include fighter fleets and surveillance support. If those countries choose Canadian-built Gripens paired with Global Eye, the integration is seamless. Saab designs the systems architecture across both platforms. The data links speak to each other. The operational picture is unified. One partner, one industrial ecosystem, zero Washington dependency. Second layer. NATO currently operates around 30 E-3 aircraft, all based on a design that dates back half a century. Maintenance costs are rising. Parts are increasingly difficult to source. Upgrading aging airframes now costs as much and in many cases approaches or exceeds the price of acquiring entirely new platforms. The replacement cycle is not approaching slowly, it is arriving. Analysts estimate that if 10 NATO countries were to purchase between 3 and 5 Global Eye aircraft each, total demand could reach 30 to 50 aircraft at an estimated price of around $250 million per aircraft. That translates into contracts worth $7.5 to $12.5 billion. If Canada captures roughly 40% of that value through production and integration work in Toronto, it represents billions in domestic economic activity that would otherwise flow to foreign production lines. Billions that instead anchor Ontario's advanced manufacturing base for a generation. Third layer, Washington's ability to apply counterforce here is severely limited. It is not easy to dismiss Global Eye as inferior when it sits on a proven airframe and carries operational radar systems. It is not persuasive to argue that American upgrades are cheaper when the E-3's lifecycle costs continue to climb. And export leverage, Washington's traditional instrument of influence, is simply unavailable when the aircraft contains no American components subject to U.S. restrictions. The Boeing E-7 Wedgetail, built on the 737 and already in service with Australia, South Korea, and Turkey, offers a capable alternative, but it remains subject to U.S. export controls and international traffic in arms regulations. Every nation that purchases an E-7 accepts, embedded in that transaction, the quiet understanding that political tensions could affect future support, future upgrades, future access. Nations purchasing Global Eye carry no such dependency. In an era when political relationships can shift overnight, procurement officials are no longer treating sovereignty as an abstract principle. They are treating it as a line item in their threat assessments.
And what happened next reveals everything about the scale of this shift. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney confirmed that Ottawa is moving forward with new payments tied to 14 additional F-35A Lightning II fighters, payments connected to long lead components, the parts that must be ordered years before final assembly begins. When combined with the initial 16 F-35s already under contract, the figure in the pipeline rises to 30 aircraft. That does not lock Canada into the full 88 aircraft commitment, but it signals that Ottawa is unwilling to lose leverage or disrupt access to future deliveries while strategic reviews continue. Mark Carney does not react, he calculates. Inside Parliament, the issue turned political quickly. Yves-François Blanche pressed Carney over what he called mixed messaging, particularly after earlier statements about strengthening Canada's strategic autonomy from the United States. Carney acknowledged the payments but framed them precisely. A small amount spent to keep options open, for national defense planning, for negotiations with Washington. A formulation that closes no doors prematurely and preserves maximum flexibility on every axis. That internal review has included serious discussion of a mixed fleet. James Beck-Same has publicly argued for a structure combining 44 F-35s with 60 to 80 Gripens. Others have cautioned that diverging from the original 88 jet plan could complicate interoperability. Pete Hegseth warned that NORAD arrangements would need adjustment if Canada significantly reduced its F-35 purchase, arguing that common platforms strengthen continental air defense integration. Against that backdrop, Carney's confirmation appears precisely calibrated, preserving access without surrendering strategic choice, protecting timing without committing to a final number, maintaining leverage with Washington while simultaneously deepening the Saab partnership that makes Washington's leverage thinner with every passing contract. The global ripple is already visible to anyone watching the right indicators. NATO members recognize that their E-3 fleets cannot operate indefinitely. Replacement decisions must be made within the next 5 to 10 years. Delay risks capability gaps that adversaries will measure and exploit. The choice narrows: the American E-7 or the European-built Global Eye assembled in Toronto. Recent political friction between Washington and certain allies has not merely intensified interest in independent options, it has transformed that interest from strategic preference into strategic necessity. Sovereignty in defense procurement is now a practical calculation, measured in radar ranges and supply chain audits. From a pure capability standpoint, Global Eye presents compelling operational advantages. It is smaller than the E-3, it consumes less fuel, it operates from more austere airfields. Its mission systems are modern from inception rather than retrofitted onto a legacy frame. Its crew requirements are reduced. Over decades of service, those differences translate into billions of dollars in accumulated savings that flow back to alliance members rather than into American maintenance contracts. And for Ukraine, which has demonstrated the effectiveness of Western fighters in live combat conditions, a platform offering a 350 nautical radius detection radius feeding data directly into the network would dramatically extend engagement range and situational awareness. Fighters operating only with onboard sensors face hard limits in contested airspace. That limit is structural. Global Eye removes it. As financial and logistical conditions permit, future Ukrainian procurement could include exactly this capability. Beyond immediate contracts, the deeper consequence is industrial. Bombardier gains irreplaceable expertise in integrating military systems onto commercial airframes, expertise that opens pathways to future programs. Tankers, maritime patrol aircraft, specialized transport variants. Canada's ability to adapt proven business jets for defense roles reduces reliance on foreign suppliers and embeds advanced manufacturing capability permanently within its own borders. Diversified production across Toronto and Montreal provides structural resilience. Pressure applied to one program does not halt the other. Provincial governments in Quebec and Ontario both carry political incentives to protect and expand these programs. Federal policymakers see economic and strategic value in sustaining an industry that serves both commercial and defense markets simultaneously. The partnership with Saab deepens into something that transcends a buyer-seller transaction. It becomes a comprehensive North American defense manufacturing relationship, with Canada as Saab's embedded partner for an entire portfolio of critical systems. The transformation unfolding in Toronto and Montreal has not arrived through dramatic speeches or confrontational rhetoric. It has arrived through manufacturing contracts, supply chain coordination, and technical integration achieved one aircraft at a time. Monopolies maintained through coercion rather than value tend to unravel quickly when the coercion backfires, and the coercion here has backfired spectacularly. Canada doesn't just watch history, Canada shapes it. What do you think about all this? Tell us in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. See you in the next one.